In 5, 4, 3, 2.
I don't know you, but I want to. The bell.
All right, it's on now. You can't. There's no backing out, Danielle.
That's right. We got you.
I'm in it. I love that.
I can tell you're in it, man.
I'm Marilyn Harris.
And I'm Percy Smith.
Welcome to our very first Victoriously Crazy podcast crossover with an iCarly person.
Mm-hmm. Yay.
Ooh,
Danielle Morrow.
You're the first crossover.
Hi.
Hey.
You know, we couldn't tell our listeners and watchers who it was going to be. We kept it a secret. Mm-hmm. Only because you're psycho. But
again, you never know what I.
That's right. You might have been locked up by the time.
Yeah, exactly. It was risky to say that information because who knows where I would have been.
Yeah, you might be on a day pass or
That's
something.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm so glad you're free and here with
All
us.
All right, let's do it.
You were born to play Nora. Is it Dirschlit?
Dirschlit, yes. Rolls off the tongue, right?
Yeah, there's a whole lot up in there, and I didn't want to say it the wrong way.
Exactly. One wrong misspelling or mispronunciation.
Yeah. I would have been getting phone calls from parents.
Yeah, definitely.
But that character was on iCarly and also Sam and Cat. That must have been awesome for you.
Dig it.
It was great, and it was very surprising because I thought when I first got the role, I thought it was just, a great guest star role, super fun, one episode thing. And then I luckily got to come back for a few more episodes of iCarly, but then exactly like you said, they also had me on for Sam and Cat, which was so fun because then I could work, kind of with different actors I hadn't worked with before. So that was really, really cool to be able to do that.
Beautiful. Danielle, you first appeared on the iCarly special iPsycho in 2010. What do you remember about booking the role or your audition process?
Yes.
That's such a great question. I remember auditioning for it I don't know if you auditioned for it there in that old cool Nickelodeon space where it's such a great space for people who don't know. It's like an old theater. It feels when you go through the doors like you go back in time. It was such a great space. But anyways, after being like amazed by that, I did my audition, and Krisha, the casting director, she's one of the best casting directors out there. She really loves actors. She works with actors really hard. She's like such a support. So she gave me more scenes to do, little adjustments. She's like, I want you to go practice, go out there in the cool lobby, just practice, take your time, and then come back in. And that's what I remember. I remember just having a really great experience and being really supported by the casting department there, who really encouraged me to have fun with this character and just go for it, not hold anything back, which was so fun. And you don't get that a lot. Yeah. It really was. And I just love those women in the casting. I think they're such great people and they really love actors.
Yeah. When they have somebody like that, it makes you feel so comfortable and make you able to just let go.
It's a nurturing.
And that's a wonderful thing. And you're right. You don't find many people that are like that. So you were blessed.
Auditions are very scary. They're very tense. You have to go into sometimes very small rooms and just like create this world, and they can be really intimidating. And if someone's in a bad mood, it rubs off on you. And and they always provide such really great energy, really supportive energy. And it's always, even if you don't book a role, you feel like you've had fun, like it wasn't a wasted thing. So
That's great. When you first arrived on set, was there a table read or run-throughs?
Yes, there was. There was a table read. And again, I remember this was early on in iCarly. I had not watched an episode of iCarly before I got this. It was still kind of early on. And but I do remember being like, ooh, this is like very lots of people, uh, you know, lots of different characters, and the writers, I remember, were very kind to me and came up to me and really thanked me for, you know, what I was bringing to the character, and said, you know, we even wrote in some things that you were doing in the audition.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
kind of that nurturing, like, we love creatives, we want you to go for it, and that inspires us, versus like, no, that's not how we do it, you know, we want you. It was a very creatively working together kind of process. Like, you would do something and the writers would be like, we love that, we're going to use that. So it was a really awesome experience.
Yeah. Because writers,
Yeah.
a lot of times, they're not open because they want you to say exactly what I've got written
they're
down
sensitive.
and don't even add a
Yes.
word. Or I had a guy
Yeah.
was like, don't add a word or don't subtract.
Yep.
I'm like, man,
Yeah.
will you stop it?
Yeah,
What-
it's not very collaborative.
It's
And I felt like
not.
on this set, it was very collaborative. And again, I think that's why there are so many fun, memorable characters on iCarly, on Victorious. Like, there's so many great characters because of that collaborative sort of energy and feeling when
Absolutely.
you're making it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, what do you remember about meeting the cast?
I remember just, you know, I know it sounds so boring, but just like, you do feel like the new kid at school because they knew each other. They're very young. I was playing younger than my real age. I wasn't a real teen. But they were younger than me. So you know, they had to do on school. They had a school set. So I didn't get to talk to them much. I did talk to Jerry. Jerry, who plays the older brother, he we actually weirdly took a Groundlings class, which is an improv and sketch comedy
Yeah.
school
Yes.
in LA. And we took a Groundlings class together. And I remember seeing him at the table. He'd be like, oh my God, hi. Like, we took this class together, and it's so funny we did this. So that was actually really fun to see him, because I had met him previously doing that, and being able to work with him. He's an amazing actor. So
He's
hilarious.
funny. He's very funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was nice to have that energy, because, you know, the kids were very young when they got this, and he really brought a lot of fun energy. And again, that thing of like, you can improv a little, you can, you know, you can test things out. And I think that was great for them to see, because I think it helped them try things they wouldn't normally do. As a kid actor, you're very like, you know, say your lines, get your mark, do exactly what everyone says. And he was kind of like, you can play a little bit with it, which I think was a great thing for them to see.
Yeah,
I
great.
love that.
I love that.
I love that.
Mhm. Okay.
Your character was described as psycho.
What?
What was
She's like,
your
oh yeah,
motivation to bring out the psycho
It's so much fun
of
to
your
be psycho.
character?
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I wish I could be like, oh, I did, you know, this extensive research on the psychosis of people who have these tendencies. I didn't. Honestly, the writing was so funny. It kind of created this thing. I, you know, was lucky enough to be the character in the face of it, but the writing was as you know, the writing, the props, the set, everything makes this. It's not just like me coming on. It's everything kind of makes this character and the scenery and really amplifies how crazy she is. And that you couldn't fumble it. I mean, you really couldn't fumble it, because again, everything on the set amplified this character in the best way possible.
Yeah,
I mean,
great.
too, like
That was my experience as well.
Yeah. So it's like, and like they throw out jokes at you, they throw out lines at you during taping. So it's like they're going with what they're seeing, and it's so fun.
Fluid.
You just add the physicality, and
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
basically a marriage of their lines and you're funny, and it always came out perfectly.
Isn't that beautiful?
It was.
Yeah.
I love the way they would write those things.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
Nora, she really didn't seem to have friends, but she did have that chicken. So
You did.
Yeah. Doggone
as
right.
any normal teenage
Yeah.
girl would.
You
Yeah,
know.
I mean, come
Maurice.
on.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what do you remember about working with Maurice? And do you remember that chicken's real name? I mean,
I
Maurice.
don't remember the chicken's real. I don't even know if the chicken had a real name. I could be wrong. There was more than one chicken.
Oh.
Because they had to see which chicken would be cool. All the craziness. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs.
oh,
There's
that's
stuff
right.
flying, So like you have to see, okay, what chicken's gonna be chill about this?
Dig
So they would like put it in during rehearsal and be like, let's see what this chicken does. Oh, it's fine. Nope, sorry. You didn't make the cut.
That's
Yeah.
funny. They had more than one, and they had to see which one was chill enough
Yeah,
to deal
they
with what was
did.
going on.
Yeah, that's
And
cool.
you know what's so funny too? We shot a scene. So the chicken handler was in the back, had like different chickens in a little
Chicken
crate.
handler.
I would do a scene, then I'd have to bring the chicken back and go, here you go. And then the chicken handler during one scene looked at me and pointed to one of the other chickens and be like, this chicken just laid an egg. And I said, really? Like, yep,
Wow.
just laid an egg. And I was like, okay, cool. I guess, you
Yeah.
know.
And he was proud of it, huh?
Yeah. It was amazing.
Like, yeah, can it work after laying an egg? I would have
Does
asked.
it get chicken leave,
Yeah.
like
I
maternity
know.
leave?
Chicken leave.
Exactly. It then had to get paid maternity leave.
Had you ever worked with a chicken before or
any
animals at
animal.
all?
Yeah.
I did another show where I worked with a dog, but definitely never a chicken.
All right.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn how to hold the chicken. You have to hold it in a certain way.
Really?
Dig it.
Yeah, you have to hold the wings together
Oh.
because its instinct is to like flap
To
away
flap.
from you. And so you have to
Okay.
kind of like hold its wings together and just kind of keep it compact and be like, you're safe, chicken. You're safe.
Grasp the chicken.
Yes,
Trust
yes.
That'd
me.
be funny.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. I'm just picturing it. It's like, yeah, I'll do that. All right.
know.
The iCarly staff was always being rescued from situations with your character.
Yeah.
You also had to do a lot of stunts and fight scenes with Gibby and Freddie's mom, just to name a few. How was it performing those stunts?
It was amazing. I mean, as you know, the stunt team, they are like all stars. They are
Yes.
such amazing people. Vince, the lead stunt guy, has been doing this since he was young. I think his dad was even a stunt
Oh,
person in like a lot of those John Wayne movies. Like it's like a legacy
Wow.
thing. So we had like the best. We really did. And I remember the woman who did my stunt, because I did not do all my stunts. It was so impressive to see them work, because, you know, if they were like, okay, you have to swing this and kick, it would take so long to teach me how to do that. And Vince would be like to the stunt double, okay, you're going to need to flip over this couch, do a somersault over here, kick, high kick, like just say it. And she'd be like, I got it. And just immediately do it. And I'd be like,
Oh, wow.
this is why you're a professional.
that's right.
It was so cool and scary to see them do it, because you're like, oh my gosh, are they okay? And they're like, they look so real. They are so, some people are so amazing with what they can do with their bodies and how they perform it. And, you know, on the set, they take it very seriously. Because, you know, stunt work, one wrong move, one wrong
can
thing,
get hurt, yeah.
miscommunication, you can get really
Yes.
badly hurt.
Yeah.
So they were so great with always taking their time, even with the non-stunt people. If it was the most minimal thing, if they're like, are you okay? Like, can you do that? Like, we'll get Vince was always so great to make sure everyone felt comfortable and was okay with what they were doing. And I had a blast. I love seeing the stunts. That's what I think with these shows, it's such a cool aspect, were these really amazing stunts, because I mean, they were impressive stunts. Like, I'm telling you, in action movies, I feel like
I don't know how they do it. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I don't know how they
crazy.
do
Yeah.
it either. It's hard on their
Wow.
body.
Yeah, dig it. All right, I love this question. Here it comes. After your character went to prison, you returned for I Still Psycho. Were you surprised you got that call?
I was. I thought my episode was a one and done. I thought, like you said, like she's in jail, she's gone, and I had a blast and fun. So when they're like, "We want to bring you back," I was like, "Oh, okay, great." And
cha-ching.
yeah. I mean, I was so excited and flattered that they wanted to bring her back, and I was so pumped that they wanted to bring sweet little Nora back into the equation.
Yeah,
You doggone
sweet
right, she was sweet.
crazy chicken hugging Nora
In that orange jumpsuit.
Yes, I loved it so much. You know what was funny? The wardrobe woman was like, "You know what? Orange is your color."
Oh.
She was like, "You look really good in an orange."
Oh my God, what are you trying to
I'm
say?
like, as long as I'm wearing it voluntarily and not because I do am in prison, then yeah, exactly.
That's so funny. Okay.
Oh my goodness. So in that episode, we actually met Nora's parents. Was it fun to work with those cast members?
It was so fun. I loved that they incorporated her parents because it's such a smart move to be like, who raised this psycho girl? It was so fun. Margaret Easley played my mom and Andrew Friedman played my dad. And Andrew, I actually knew, again, going back to the Groundlings Theater. I knew him, my husband, Jeremy, they were both Groundlings. So they were performing together a lot and they would do shows together. So I've known Andrew for a while. And then Margaret, I just met when we were shooting, and she is just the kindest, nicest, most beautiful human being. And I felt like, oh my gosh, this is so, like, I just felt so lucky that I got to work with them because they were so funny, so kind. It was, again, so much fun to just collaborate and work with people who took it seriously, but also wanted to have fun with it, you know? So there was professionalism there, but also a sense of fun, which I always think is a great mix.
Cool.
It is a great mix because you're doing a lot of laughing. And my next question is, okay, Nora went back to prison, but on Sam and Cat, she escaped. So what do you remember about?
I remember kind of like, ooh, you know, this is the first time I'm going and not knowing. I mean, I knew Jeanette, but not knowing the other actors, meeting them for the first time. I obviously knew everyone who was working on the show, but I was like, ooh, what's this going to be like? Because it's kind of like, it's the same show, but obviously different. And the other thing that I loved about it or thought was really cool was it was a Silence of the Lambs episode. Which was so fun because, again, the sets were amazing. They made a well that I had with the rope. Oh, and I got to work with, I'm blanking on his name. He played on iCarly a character who was also kind of like always against them.
Neville?
Neville, I know Bennett knows.
Yes.
Neville,
The
thank
plotter.
you. I know. I'm like, oh God, people are probably screaming at me. Neville, I got to work with him, and that was really fun because when you do your episode, you obviously are only working with whoever's on that episode.
Yes.
So I never got to meet him or work with him. And then we both were in this Sam and Cat episode, and it was really, really fun meeting him, getting to know him, working with him. He's such a talented actor, such a smart kid, and that I remember being also another really cool moment for me to be able to work with him. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this question is a precursor to what happened for her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. Nora said as police took you to maximum security, I'm a character that never dies. And sure enough, you returned for the iCarly reboot, right?
Prophesied.
They were trying to tell her.
I did.
They were trying to tell her.
Again, super excited. I was very flattered they had me back because obviously this was a revival of the show. It was going in a different direction. It was more aged up to match the ages of the cast. And I just was like, I don't know if she'll be back in this capacity because I don't know if they're going in a different direction, which is totally cool. So when they were like, we want to have you back, I felt really honored. I did. I felt very honored. And it was, again, really fun. This time, obviously, I knew everyone on. The creators and writers were all a different group of people. So I got to meet them for the first time. And they were so kind. They brought that same really collaborative energy. It was not the kind of set of like, oh, we don't want to hear what you have to think. Or we don't want to.
They were never like that.
Yeah, it was, and even this new group of people are so kind. Everyone wants to make sure you're very comfortable and confident and feel good about what you're doing. And to me, those sets, like that tone, really sets the mood for a great experience, and it makes everyone happy. It makes everyone feel like going to work and working together to make this the best thing possible. I mean, I loved it. I loved that. It was kind of a different angle for her. She had worked on herself.
Yes.
So
Genius.
Sure,
she
you're
really
right.
had to, hold back her creeper, stalker tendencies.
That's right.
And you know how hard that is. That's
I know.
hard.
Yeah, it was like, I want to do it, but nope.
No.
Remember whatever it is I worked on. So I loved that. I kind of loved for her that we could see her now in a different, like I imagine her, living her best life, maybe starting some sort of business or maybe some sort of app where people can meet friends. People who don't have friends can meet friends, because she always struggled with that. So I feel like she is on the right path. In her life.
Aww.
On the weekend work at a farmer's market.
Yeah,
exactly.
With chickens.
Yeah. Maybe she has a chicken farm. Yeah, that's
You see where I'm going.
That's
you see
right.
where I'm going with that.
That's right.
Okay. Next question. Do you still get a lot of reaction from iCarly fans?
I do. I got a TikTok because I am so young. I got a TikTok. I think I got it 2 years ago. It was definitely during that stay-at-home time period. And I got it just to be like, well, what's this all about? And I would post some videos. And then I posted this one video, and for whatever reason, the algorithm kind of spread it around and was getting popular. But almost all the comments were like, Nora? OMG, is that Nora? Is that the crazy chicken girl? Is that, so all of a sudden, like all these comments would come in and they'd be like, I can't believe this is Nora. And then if I post a video or like if they ask a question and I answer it on there, people, I mean, they love this character. I'll get things from like, you scared me, I hated you, to I always love this character, and I love it. And both reactions I love, because if people hated her and were scared of her, I'm like, I guess that's good, because she is a crazy character. But then there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people who love the character. And I think, these shows meant a lot to a lot of young people and really built their childhood and their sense of humor and impacted them in that way. And so it's very cool to see people have still a strong reaction to iCarly, to Nora, and be excited by that. I think it's really cool that it had that impact.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, you should get a rubber chicken and do a conversation with it. Yes. I bet that thing would go viral.
Do
that
it.
Is a great
You should do that on a TikTok.
That is a great idea.
And I'm sure it would go viral because they connect with that. So, like in real life, your husband Jeremy played Lubert on iCarly. What was it like to witness your husband's work?
Well, the funny thing about that was when we met, we both realized, like, wait a minute, you were on iCarly? I was on iCarly. And then again, going back to the Groundlings, he was doing like the main company Groundling shows, and I was in like the upper classes there. And I was like, and you do the Groundlings and I do the Groundlings. So we had these kind of connections, but we never worked together or met on set or met at the ground. We met in a different way through a friend. And it just was, that was kind of fun to just be like, oh my gosh, we have this connection. And Dan, when he found out that we were dating, he wrote a part for us on, oh gosh, Bennett, you might have to help me again. I'm so sorry. It was the superhero show.
Henry Danger.
Henry Danger, yes. Why am I blanking on all these shows? I'm like, I know, I'm like, what are these shows called again? I'm sorry. So it was Henry Danger. So he wrote a role for us where we played these weird alien people together. And that was super fun because we had never acted together. And that was fun to, you know, be able to go to work together and you know, be able to do that. So that was a ton of fun.
Cool.
That is so awesome because we're both actors and it's such a pleasure to work with your husband or your boyfriend or whatever. It's a lot of fun.
And I think actors should stick together because nobody else understands what's going on.
They don't understand the hours of the process. They really don't.
100%. Yeah, I was trying to explain to my mom the other day when I was on set. I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to be home yet. I can't tell you an end time right now because I don't know how long we'll be, you know, kind of thing. And
come home at 2 a.m.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. You never know.
Well, you mentioned Henry Danger. Are there any other shows or films that you've worked on outside of the Nora character?
I did Ricky, Dickie. I'm going to forget all their names. Ricky, it was a Disney show.
Oh, I know that show. It's 4 of them, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. 4.
Bennett.
Finish for me. Ricky,
Nikki, Ricky, Dickie, and Dawn.
Dawn. Yes, Dawn. I knew the girl's name could not. I was like, what was the girl's name? Dawn did not fit in with the rhyming scheme, I guess. I did that, and that's where I got to work with the dog.
Do you know the writer Matt Fleckenstein? Does that name ring a bell from iCarly?
I think so, because he created that show. Yes.
Wow.
So I remember in the audition, or the callback for that. I didn't know that. And then in the callback, he was in the room and he was like, hi, do you remember me? And I was like, oh, yeah. So that was fun to be able to, again, work with some of the iCarly. It always goes back to iCarly, I guess.
The iCarlys.
They're out there.
I can't escape them. They can't escape me. I can't escape them.
That's beautiful.
It's a great family to be part of. Once you're in Nickelodeon productions, it's the networking is really incredible. They're out there. They really are.
Yeah, it really is. They're all such great people and very kind, and it was nice to work with them. Yeah.
All right, here we go. What kind of advice do you have for any actors that might be watching or listening?
Oh my gosh, this is a great question. For me, I would say the biggest advice, well, I have 2 things. One thing I would say, take classes. Whether you want to do comedy or drama, start taking classes, join a theater group, improv groups, things like that. Because when you start to build a community of people like-minded people who are creative and want to work on something, that helps you. It's such a great thing to surround yourself by other artists who want to be creative. And especially when you can do it in a space where, you know, when you're auditioning, you have no control over whether you get it or not. So you go in, you audition, and then it's like, oh, that's it, you know? And whereas if you get a group of people, you're doing a theater troupe, improv group, anything like that, even acting classes, you're able to express yourself and get that out without like, oh, I got rejected again and I can't, you know, perform. You're able to still release that performance aspect.
And get feedback.
Yes, exactly. And get feedback, become a stronger performer. And I think it's really, really great to do that. I know when I mentioned the Groundlings like a million times on here, but when I was taking classes there, I made so many great friends that I am still really close with. And we're all in different areas and we're always supportive of each other. We still do shows together occasionally. We'll still, you know, we're all still creative in that way. And it's the best thing possible because this industry, you never know what's going to happen. You have zero control over it. And so when you can be creative and do a show, do an improv show, a sketch show, or whatever it may be, theater, that is what we're so passionate about. We as actors, we want to be performing, we want to be acting. It's where we feel our best. And so we can still do that even if we're not, working on every TV show and movie right now. It's better to actually have that other side where there's more fun in it. Yeah. And the other thing I would say, because we are living in such a different age than what it was with TikTok and YouTube, is start, create, like with TikTok and YouTube, you can shoot sketches, you can, put acting reels out there. You can do that. And again, it's another way to put yourself out there, especially if maybe you don't live in a New York or an LA where you can be auditioning or be in front of agents and stuff like that. If you have that sort of creative calling, start with stuff like that. It's easy to film yourself on a TikTok. You don't need professional lighting. You don't need a sound person. Start doing that, creating movies with your friends, little shorts, because again, it starts the ball rolling. And I really believe that if we do this stuff, it gets us somewhere instead of like, oh, I don't want to do that because that's not looked on as something serious or that, I think if we just start if we don't judge it as much and just keep going and putting it out there, it makes you a stronger performer, a stronger writer. You start to test out what works, what doesn't work, where's my strength and weakness. So I think kids today, make movie. It's so easy to make movies. Use your iPhone with your friends, and just start creating, write scripts together. You can do it. It doesn't have to be amazing, but just do it to start learning. And I think that's such a benefit of today's technology.
Yeah, and you
That's
never know
excellent.
who might see it.
Yeah,
Somebody might see it and say, hey, you know what? I could use that person.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You never
that's
know.
excellent.
Yeah.
I think that's how Issa Rae got going.
That's right.
She had that HBO
Mm-hmm.
show that
Yes.
she had created.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of it.
Look at her now,
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's got huge contracts and different things like that.
Yeah. I saw this girl named it's called Trendy Topic Tiff. Her name is Tiffany. This girl needs a show.
Yeah,
It's amazing. Her and she be doing
that's catchy.
and she can't help it. I could see that she just has it in her to do these sketches,
Yeah, you
and
just
and
keep going.
it's
And
beautiful.
now we're able to see it's not so selective. People are now able to see people who live anywhere. Like, wow, this is such a great personality.
There you go.
I would love to give her a show, or she should be doing hosting or something like that. Whereas before it was like you just had to have an agent. You had to,
Yeah.
in order to do that. And now it's opened up so much and we get to hear different voices and different takes. And I think that's another strength. Like we need to be hearing from different people and their point of view and their perspective.
Mhm. Any upcoming projects you want to tell us about?
Ooh. Right now, I'm focusing more on writing, which I know is so smart because there's a writer's strike. But my friend and I have been really kind of focusing on writing, and we have some projects that we're creating and pitching and developing. So I feel like that is something that I've been putting a lot of my focus on. And I've been loving it. It's definitely a new thing for me that was a little scary for me because I'm like, I don't know how to write. What is this? And now I feel a lot more comfortable with it. And I don't know everything, but I feel a lot more comfortable with the writing aspect and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Oh, that's the number one thing.
Yeah.
Bennett is a writer, so if you ever want to brainstorm,
That's right.
he's an excellent writer. He
Yeah.
wrote these questions.
Yeah, he wrote
Oh,
all these
thank you.
questions.
Very
all
good
of them.
questions.
We're just
Yes,
talking. We're just mouthpieces.
Yeah, we're the
And
talent.
we have one more question. Do you have any social media you want to share?
Like your
I
website or
do. My Instagram. What is my Instagram? Guys, I'm such a grandma. I'm like, what are my social medias? On my TikTok, I know my TikTok is at Dani, DANI underscore Morrow, MORROW. And then my Instagram, it's Dani, DANI, Mo to the row, MOTOTHEROW. Super complicated one, but you'll find me.
Yeah, that's a vibe right there.
I love that.
You were feeling good that day, huh?
I
Mo to
was.
the
I was
row.
feeling a little like Danny Morrow's taken, so I'm going to do this one.
Yeah.
Danielle, I had two really quick questions for you because a lot of Nickelodeon fans are also Disney fans. You were on an episode of Good Luck Charlie. The episode was called Pushing Buttons. What do you remember about filming that show?
I loved doing that show. What I remember most, well, I had to play a bad actress on it. So I was like, nailed it.
You crazy. Now that's funny.
But the thing that I remember a lot from that show was that show was taped in front of a live audience. And all the other shows I had done were not. So even though you hear laughter and claps and stuff like that, they're canned. So you're not really performing in front of a live audience, but that's because then you can do more takes and, stuff like that. But Good Luck Charlie was filmed in front of a live audience. And that was the first time I'd ever done that. And I was like, oh my gosh, live audience?
And you got to act badly too.
But it puts a little more pressure on you because you forget a line. You're like, it's all on you. Like, whereas, if you're doing it not in front of an audience and you mess up, you can kind of just restart really quick. But when the audience is there, you do feel that pressure to be like, oh God, I have to make sure I nail this, kind of thing. But it was really, I loved it. I remember feeling like this is what theater is. This is that feeling of performing in front of an audience. And you can sometimes get a little used to just, not having anyone there. And it's really nice to sense people's energies and joy and genuine laughter after you say something. So I remember that being really, really fun to be able to perform in front of real people, a live audience, a group of people who were there and wanted to see the taping.
That is so cool. Yeah. And that's a great experience too, because once you conquer something like that, you realize, this
is what I was meant to do.
That was fun. That wasn't hard at all.
Yeah. It's really, you feel on top of the world after you do that. Yeah.
Wow.
Rolling it back to Nickelodeon for one more second. Do you remember, I know it was a little while ago, were there any moments that ended up on the cutting room floor from any of these episodes that you might recall filming?
Good question.
That's also a good question. There's got to be, because they film, as you know, they film so much. So they're constantly throwing out different lines at you and different things. So you could say like a whole monologue and they'll be like, great. Now we want you to say this and then hold this thing and do this. And they're like, oh, okay. And
Thanks
so
a
you
lot.
just kind of you just kind of go, okay, got it. And then, so I can't remember anything specifically off the top of my head where it's like, oh, we filmed that and that didn't end up making it. But I'm sure there was. It would be amazing to see kind of like a blooper reel, or not even a blooper reel, but just like scenes that didn't make it, because it would take hours, I'm sure, to get through, because they really do throw so many different alts at you and different things at you that can even change up the scene a little bit, just to experiment and see, can we make this stronger? Can we make a funnier joke? And always with the goal of making it better and better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Well,
that was the last question. Yeah.
We're so sad because you're so
awesome.
wonderful
I
to
know.
talk to.
We want to remind everyone out there that Victoriously Crazy Podcast is on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. It's at Victoriously Crazy Podcast.
That's right.
So make sure you watch, subscribe, comment, like, let your friends know.
Tell your friends.
Yay!
Hey.
And now
Here
We're
we
going to
go.
do an act out. You know, you are so vibrant, so
Mm-hmm.
interesting. I thought we could each embrace our characters.
Uh-oh,
You
yeah.
could be Nora
Yeah.
with your chicken.
Ooh, I've been waiting
I'll
for
be
this.
Andre's grandma with my bird Larry. I'm just going to throw some crazy stuff out and you're going to throw some crazy stuff back.
Okay.
And then after we go back and forth and argue however it rolls, Percy will say what?
I'll say
See?
roll.
Roll.
You
Yeah.
just tell us my chicken.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I need to hold something.
There you go.
Oh, that's good. That's right, because you had that chicken on clutch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like this looks like a chicken.
I
Oh
like
my gosh.
it.
And when
I
he
like
says scene, that's the end of the podcast. That's like our
Yes.
cut.
That'll be our
Okay.
cut. So you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Roll.
So, I heard you just got out of prison and you got a chicken. I got a bird named Larry. Can we do a play date?
Yes, we can. My chicken Maurice over here loves play date. He's very social, okay? But
Are his nails clipped?
he just got a manicure, I'll have you know. He gets one every Wednesday at 12 p.m.
Well, Larry's nails aren't clipped and he's a scratcher.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to tell him that Maurice has boundaries. All right, it's okay, Maurice, it's okay. If he comes near him, he is gonna have to watch it, okay? He doesn't
Wait.
like to be touched, only by me.
Well, my bird Larry has food demands. He wants worms, jelly beans, and jello.
Okay, what flavor of Jello?
Yellow like your chicken.
Okay, that sounded very threatening, but I'll provide it. Listen, what's the temperature that we're going to be playing at? Because Maurice over here can only play at a 68-degree temperature. Anything hotter?
Well, Larry likes 69.
Oh, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does.
Oh!
Yeah, I went there. I went there. Okay.
That's
You know
not
what?
true. That's a rumor.
Look. Maurice is feeling tense, okay? Let's just agree on this. We're going to meet Monday, 12:37 p.m. I'll bring the Jello. You bring the pizza.
It's gonna have pepperoni.
Deal.
Yeah.
And cut.